Good day, y'all. Now we're up to the 400th shock of the day, which happens to be a King Creek double barrel air. And let me tell you, she is fighting me. She's fighting, trying to. Okay, so I'm just loosening this valve cap. Oops. I'm gonna let out the IFP pressure. Okay, boom. And push this down. Expose that circlip. Get this circlip out. Beautiful. Now we need an M4 screw. One moment. M4 screw threads right in, and that way you can pull the thing out. Wow, it has the bladder upgrade. This thing has the bladder upgrade, Mom.
What? You can upgrade that?
Yeah. I think it might be a WSS product, actually.
You did the shot glass.
I guess not. Or maybe I did.
According to this guy, you did.
No.
I talked to him.
Okay, so I forgot about it. Okay, so that's cool. Normally, this is not what it looks like. This is an upgrade. Normally, there is a metal ring or piston which you need to thread this into again. So, anyway, it's using this Park Tool SPA-2 to loosen the seal head. Okay. Boom. Dump out the oil. Okay. And still gonna drain a bit, but I'm gonna get in here. So T10, Torx T10. Be careful. This is a fragile component. This comes off. 3mm Allen key. Oh, sorry. 1.5mm Allen key. This little cover plate comes off. This is an even more fragile component. Okay. This comes off. Now, these adjusters can pull out. Make sure to keep track of which side is which, because the springs are different. So that's going to be your rebound. one has red markings on the spring, indicating the stiffness. And then the compression. Boom. Then I'm going to come over here. Pull this out. These things, these low speed adjusters. I'm covering it with my finger. Where I'm holding on to it, make sure it doesn't just pop out. Oh, it just did. Okay, but the balls are here. So, detent balls. Can you see it? So the detent balls, the rebound side. Wait a second. That was the rebound. Okay. It's like that. Okay, 2 detent balls and a spring on each side. So that's that. And there is, be careful with that, detent ball fell into the shock. So there you have it. All these components are removed from this eyelet. Wiping these out. And that's it. So now we're going to take this and replace the seals. So we are using an MTB hydraulic seal kit. Cane Creek double barrel coil 9.5mm shaft. That's the shaft diameter. Full service seal kit. So right off the bat we have these O-rings, these thicker ones. We're gonna set these aside because this one uses a bladder. Normally you would put these O-rings on the IFP cap. There are 2 different sizes because some of these older versions or model years of these shocks, tolerances are really tight between the IFP and the reservoir. So it's useful to have these smaller seals that you stretch onto the IFP in case these are too tight, the actual size. Anyway, so I'm gonna replace these adjuster seals. Always wipe off that groove. Boom. So that's the compression side. Okay. Then do the same on the rebound side. I like to do this vertically, then just push on it. It seats nicely. Boom. Just go a decent ways so that center plate can easily fit. So low speed rebound needle. Actually, let me just organize these seals. So actually, let me just check something. Yes, didn't replace that seal. Completely forgot about it. Tiny one. Boom. It's right here. Oop. Boom. So I'm just gonna fix that same thing on this side. Oh. Oh boy. Come on. Okay, good. So then we have a few different seals here. Looks like 3 of the same size and 1 is a little smaller. I believe those 3 are on, those 3 go onto this. 3 of the same size go on here. That's your rebound side. Okay. So that one is a tiny bit smaller. Set that aside. Boom. So this is the tricky part. You need to use grease to stick these little detent balls in place. Glue them in place. And then pinch them. Oops. Oh boy. Okay. So make sure there's good clicking going on. Boom. Same thing, the grease. Works nice. And the last piece is lockout lever. Boom. Drop it in very carefully. Boom. Okay, nice and clicky. Pliers. Oh, disappeared. Okay. So that's where it bottoms out. Okay, so I just bottomed it out. Actually, let me just put this back. There is a specific clocking instruction for this, and I want to quote that from the website after I put this back. Be careful not to over tighten these. Okay, so once these are all in, for the bleeding, we need to get these adjusters all the way out. Don't crank on them too hard because you will rip out the limiter plate. Those threads are very weak and small. Same with these, just gently. Okay. So anyway, well, I'm gonna quote that clocking instruction in a sec. So anyways, I pulled up the actual instructions because normally I just go all the way and then half a click back so that, and then put this lever on. But the official instructions are thread it all the way and then undo it until that tiny indicator, it's like dot, is facing in the 6 o'clock position, so downward. So anyway, and that's when it's going to be in the locked out position. So there you have it. Boom. as I'm tightening, I'm supporting that lever at the same time. Okay. Actually, it's I'm gonna put a thread lock on this. It's also part of the instruction manual, and makes sense because this thing actually unthreads as you're adjusting it. Boom. Good enough. Something like that. Okay, make sure it moves freely. So that's done. I'm gonna remove the piston from the shaft finally. This is the actual important part of this service. Actually, I lied. I'm not even gonna do that. I need to remove the eyelet. So this goes back. This is an 8mm shaft, and I need to remove this eyelet. Oh, sorry, it's a 3/8 shaft. I forgot. I even said that it was a 3/8 shaft. Okay. Pull off this travel spacer and bottom out bumper. 2 travel spacers, actually. And then the seal head. And this top out bumper stays there. Boom. Removing this seal. Did I not replace the seal on that? Did I put it on without a seal? Let me just check. That would be awkward. Because I see a seal here. I can't tell if it's used or not. Oops, of course. Put it on without the O-ring. Total brain fart. Total brain fart. Well, that's what happens when you do 14 shocks in a day. To remove that plate again. You know what? I might be able to get it through. Holy smokes. Okay, never mind. Just remove that. Boom. Get that in there. Make sure not to cross thread it. We've already got it started, I think. I think anyway. So that's all the way in. This thing goes back. For good this time around. I hope anyway. Whew. So I'm clocking it again as before. Loctite, blue Loctite. Not super tight. Not a super robust design, in my humble opinion. Okay. While we're at it, actually, let's replace the bleed screw. Holy. Wow. That was hectic. So the bleed screw seal is this one. Wipe this off. Wipe this out. And there she goes back. So This is actually an alternative seal for the IFB. We're not going to use it. I think there are two different seals here. I'm going to try to use the thicker one. It's a classic Cane Creek thing where some model years work well with the thicker one, others work well with the thinner one. Let's see, thicker one, does it pinch? No, it doesn't. So it's good. So we'll use the thicker one. It's just the classic Cane Creek things. The official solution is that they force you to upgrade various parts of your shock so that the latest iteration is always what's being used, and then they just give you that one size of the seal in their OEM kit. But of course, this one is an MTB hydraulics kit and gives you full convenience. So I'm putting this quad ring here, just guiding it in with some screwdriver. This backup ring, you can put a slit on it. I probably will do that actually. Goes in easier. The stock one also has this slit, so just kind of do that. And it goes on the outside of that quad ring. It would have been easier if I put this in first from the back side, but too late now. Worked it in. So this wiper she's stiff, this thing, so I like to squeeze it with needle nose and squeeze it again, and just shove it in. Boom. She's kind of ream it, and she's perfect. Boom. So now, make sure there's no residue here. And wiggle this on. She's perfect. So I'm gonna clean this out. Boom. Loctite. Boom. So I'm just gonna start cranking this down. Boom. Perfect. So now we just need to fill this thing up and bleed it, and off we go. So here we are finishing this thing up. I'm gonna fill this with some oil. Fill this with some, put a bit of oil here too. Unlock the lockout. Fill this to the brim. Come in with a clean nitrile glove. And just kind of purge that base valve region. Good. Now we're gonna come in here with that bladder or IFP, whichever is applicable. Okay. Get the circlip in. Pull it back out. So it's seated. Now I'm gonna grab this is my MTB Hydraulics M4 bleed syringe, M4 threads, that is. Available from mtb-hydraulics.com. Quite an affordable product. And by the way, this is a T20 and a T10 Torx screwdriver that I was using earlier. So this here, I'm just gonna fill it, skim off these air bubbles, and pre-fill this piston as much as possible. Whatever, just a little bit, something, and then drop it down. And by the way, the one thing I didn't mention is we had some leftover seals, and those seals go in between the shock body and the eyelet, and also the inner tube and the eyelet. And also there's a seal between the reservoir and the eyelet. I never replace those, by the way. Really no need unless the shock is leaking, because they will last the lifetime of the shock if you actually use this. If you actually use it only. If yes. So remove that bleed screw. Oh, so the bladder is pushing some oil out. No worries. And MTB Hydraulics has a seal kit for this exact same shock with the 8mm shaft, because the older ones came with that. So with this bladder, I'm able to just pump the shock, and it kind of circulates oil and purges itself. Normally, you would put in the circlip for the IFP and push the IFP out, and then use this screw, or the same screw in the IFP to push it back, circulate it that way. The bladder kind of makes it easier in a way. This part anyway. It's easy to pierce the bladder when you're inflating it with the needle, and then you're screwed. So now I'm going to pressurize this. piston. Okay. That's probably all it needed. Now I just need to get these bubbles out. Okay, so I think that's it. Now, the bladder will just purge out some oil until that rubber relaxes or comes out of tension. And in this situation with the IFP, you would just push it up, push it up all the way until it bottoms out. And then with the syringe, push it out 3 millimeters. And that's it. And then you would put the IFP cap in place. That's the end of it. Now we need to inflate this IFP or bladder. The pressure in this shock is 175 psi. So with a bladder situation, make sure not to pierce this too far. You can go all the way to the bottom of the bladder and right into the damper fluid, and then you have a hole in your bladder. Oh. So that's it. This screw actually had an O-ring on it. I don't believe they normally do that, or I don't think that comes stock with the shock. So, nice and quiet. Always orient the shock, and so that's the lockout. Works well. Good to check the rebound, because that's easy to check by hand. All the way in, high and low speed. See what happens. Also, it's important to note that the older versions of this shock, the lockout was pretty non-substantial. So Don't be surprised by that. Yeah, seems to work. Anyway, that's it. We'll spray her down and she's done.